In the last video, I showed how to get a picture on that we can trace from. I also showed how to very quickly create a couple points, couple circles like this using the ellipse tool. For this video, I'm going to go kind of deep into the pen tool, and we'll kind of mention just a little bit of the shape tool as well. So in order to do that, I'm going to try to just focus on what we're doing. So I'm going to actually hide my picture layer and then also hide those two previous ellipses that I've already created. If I want to, so you can see that that's actually pretty quick and easy to hide many things, like so. I just click and drag those up, or I just click on individual ones from the layer panel. That's going to be very helpful for us later on. The pen tool has a few different options. So we've got our general pen tool. We can add anchor points specifically with the add anchor point tool. We can delete anchor points with the delete anchor point tool, or we can change how the anchor point actually behaves, whether it's a curve or not, using the anchor point tool. Generally, I suggest even though all of these options are actually here from the general pen tool, that you actually specifically go in and use those tools whenever you're creating those different paths. Before I really get into that, I'm just going to show you kind of the shape tools that we have. We have these different options here, and you can either right click on this menu, or if you click and hold for just a second, it actually pops up too. Anytime you see that little triangle, little arrow in the corner, it's going to tell you that there's actually more options here. There's more tools kind of nested in there. I'm going to make a circle, and in order to do that, I can use my ellipse tool, and I'm just going to click and drag. Now, something you notice is every once in a while it gets to a point where I have these purple lines that are showing up. That's telling me that the height and the width are both equal. In other words, it's saying that it's a circle. Now, if I wanted to, I could hold shift while I'm making this, and I can actually force it, no matter where my mouse is, to be a circle. So if I let go of shift, it is an ellipse, or if I hold shift, it becomes a circle. The same thing happens whenever I go into, let's say, the rectangle tool. That's a rectangle, but if I hold shift, it shows that diagonal line that's saying that it's equal to the center there, so it is a square. Alright, so we've got all those options, and I'm going to kind of go into manipulating using the select and the two different methods, the select and the direct select tools, in a later video. But for right now, that's kind of the way we create a rectangle or an ellipse. Those are going to be popular things to do. And most of this, we're going to be talking about the pen tool. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to change things. So I'm going to make my outline to be black, and then I'm going to change the fill to be kind of this yellow color. That way we can kind of see it. I'm actually going to get rid of the yellow color in just a minute, that fill color. I'm also going to change the stroke to 1, and so I'm going to make it fairly small so I can see exactly where the lines are. Okay. So when we're using the pen tool, we first start off like this, and the cursor actually has a little star by it. And so that means that I'm going to create a new vector. So I click one time, and there we go, and then I can click again and again and again and again and again. Now, as you can see, that there is actually a there is no line, there's no black line showing up right here, but it is filled, so it fills from the start to the end. And so if I were to continue this on, you can see that it goes straight line from the first one to the last one. So there is the kind of the easiest way to create shapes, just clicking and moving your mouse and clicking again. You can also create shapes that are curves. And this one's pretty good to use if you want to have anything curved. You don't really want, some people will just make a lot of different vectors with very short straight lines. And if you're far enough away, it does look like that, but it really makes it less easy to actually scale. So I'm going to show you how to make a curve in your maps project. You should also have a curve or two in yours. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to click, and then let's say I want to have a curve. Generally, I usually kind of find the outside of that, but I'm just kind of making a freeform shape right now. And as I'm clicking and dragging, so I'm actually dragging my mouse right now, I'm still clicking on it, I can actually move, and I'm seeing that these handles are showing up. Okay, and so we've got those showing up, and then as soon as I release, it is going to continue on, and so now I have my curve, and it kind of continues that curve. So these are going to continue, and I can manipulate from both ends, and so I can kind of change the shape and the size of those curves. And I'm just going to complete this shape, and I know that it's completed because I have a circle in the middle, so that can work with those straight lines, or it can work with curves like this as well. And that's a good habit to get into, because then you have a consistent outline all the way around, and you don't have to play around with the fill shape as much. So sometimes that fill can get in the way, and often, especially if you're going to make a map, you don't want the fill shape, you just want individual lines. So we can actually just have none for our fill, and we end up with a shape like so. And so there we go. That is very quick on the pen tool and just how to create those first few shapes. In the next video, I'm going to show how to change these and how to make them different and manipulate those. So if your path isn't perfect the first time around, that's okay. We can make a better path and improve this one later on.